I've loved music my whole life, and even at a very young age, I would harmonize with music. But the first time that it really clicked for me was when I sang at my sister's recital. The vocal coach had asked if anyone else wanted to sing when they were done with the set they had put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not a part of this, but I was in the audience with my mom. And when she asked if anyone else wanted to sing, I was 3 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
But I ran up on stage and I took the mic and just most of the time, almost for that entire song, I guessed the words and harmonized with it instead of singing the melody. But I feel like that's when I really clicked with music, and that's how I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
My mind drifted away. Take me there, far away, where our memories will be erased. Take me there, to the place where our heartache will wash away. It's a journey, this life we're in, it's rough. Every day is a race to live, it's tough. Van Gogh, Starry Night, you're the light, I want you by my side. You're a beautiful work of art, my heart. Take my hand, take me there, or I'll fall apart. Getting lost in the canvas of your eyes. All I want is you by my side.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Jay Huller. As a quick reminder, please follow us on Instagram at Living in the Limelight Show, and check out our website at livinginthelimelight.com. And of course, you can find our podcast through all the major streaming services, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Each week, we feature a conversation with a different artist where we delve into what makes them tick, and sometimes we get pro tips on pursuing a career as an artist. If you're a performer who would like to be considered for our show, check out the questionnaire at livinginthelimelight.com, and thanks, of course, so much for listening. Multi-instrumentalist and award-winning songwriter Liliana Tani, Lulu, was born to share her passion for music. At only 14 years old, Liliana has contributed to over 50 music videos with combined views in the hundreds of millions. She's recorded vocals on hundreds of tracks and performed on stages across the globe. In 2017, she became a member of the One Voice Children's Choir. In 2018, she became a member of Kids America, a singing group that created original music together. In 2020, Lulu joined the Acapop Kids, a music brand created behind the minds of Pentatonix. In 2022, she joined Far Out Records' girl group called Glotivation, representing Far Out Toys' glow-up dolls. She's been a guest performer on the news, radio stations, and podcasts with performances at venues as large as the MGM Grande in Las Vegas. She's even done a tour in Japan. And behind all this accomplishment is a young human with a dream of creating music that will inspire, uplift, and bring people together. So let's meet Lulu. Welcome to Living in the Limelight. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite a while because I can tell you what inspires me as a person in general is seeing younger generations of kids just like doing good and doing good stuff. And actually, I want to kind of talk about your origins and where you got started with music, but before this escapes my brain, do you see kids your same age that are just buried in their phones and they're doing video games and kind of like getting separated from life? Do you observe that, or is it just something that we adults see? And and I can see there's kind of a contrast. There are the kids that are just into it. They're into school. They're into extracurriculars. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're making a difference in the world, and they're like a new generation of kids that are sort of so centered with their technology. They're literally attached to their phones. They're playing a lot of video games. Do you see that? Do you observe that in maybe not necessarily your friends, but in kids that are your age? Do you observe it too?
Yes, I definitely do. I always notice how people are always so invested in their phones and not what's going on around them. It's crazy.
It is. And how do you feel about that? Like, because I can't imagine, we're going to talk for quite a while about like your achievements and the things that you've done. And even if you did the math of the stuff that you've done, it would be almost an impossible thing for you to have spent a lot of time on your phone, just kind of isolated, because you're a contributor, you're giving to the world. So do you feel like, sorry is not the right word, but do you feel like you want to and try to encourage those kids that are not engaged? Do you want to try to inspire them to do similar things to what you're doing?
Yes, definitely. I think that people should once in a while take a step back and just focus on what's going on around them, because I think it is better for their mental health and who they are as a person, because who people become can be very much influenced by what they're seeing online and what their friends are doing. And I think that if people just take a step back and focus on what they want to do and how they, like, what kind of person they want to be, I think it would definitely help, and the world would become such a better place if we just used it as a tool and not something we're staring at every single day.
Amen to that. You're preaching to the choir. I love to hear that. I love to ask that question of younger people, because believe it or not, I've heard the other side of the story. I've heard, kids your age, your exact same age, and they're like, oh no, I'm with it. I do lots of things, and this is, just a part of my life, but they operate during the day with it a lot, and it seems to consume. And, there's cyberbullying and all this stuff that's happening, and the negative part of it, right? And if you get too embedded, just like you said, it can frame you. It can force a development in you that maybe you didn't want. So now let's go back, way back, and this is not that far for you because you're young, but talk to us a little bit about that that evening. Maybe it was an evening or an afternoon when your sister was performing When Christmas Comes to Town. I was reading a little bit about that, and I think in your view, that was like the very beginning of your musical journey, right? How did that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I've loved music my whole life, and even at a very young age, I would harmonize with music. But the first time that it really clicked for me was when I sang at my sister's recital. The vocal coach had asked if anyone else wanted to sing when they were done with the set they had put together. And I was not a part of this, but I was in the audience with my mom. And when she asked if anyone else wanted to sing, I was 3 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
But I ran up on stage and I took the mic and just, most of the time, almost for that entire song, I guessed the words and harmonized with it instead of singing the melody. But I feel like that's when I really clicked with music, and that's how I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
I can absolutely see that. Is there a video of that moment that you guys have?
Yeah, there is actually. My mom took a video.
Amazing. Yeah, that is going to be something to really look back at. It's funny, I was talking to a drummer just the other day. He's going to be on the podcast, Released Before Yours, I think. And he's a professional drummer. He's been doing it for like 25, 30 years. I don't know the number. And when I was talking to him, he said his story, and then he said, oh, by the way, his name is Kent Arberly. He lives in Atlanta. He said, by the way, I'm looking at the first drum set that I ever played. It's here in my office. And that was like an instant connection to his origin, right? The origin of the story. And you have, with that video and with this story, kind of like a really cool way to have begun what you have done from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I totally appreciate that. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that moment as 3 years old, being just pulled, you probably just felt totally pulled toward that stage to grab the microphone and do it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm nervous. I think you just did it because your body moved you there. Is that right?
Yes.
That's totally amazing. And I think that speaks to the driving force behind all the things that you have done so far, which I really want to get into and highlight for the people who are listening, because you have a bright future. I'm no expert. I don't have the crystal ball, but you have all the makings. You have the desire, the perseverance, which I guess that's in my notes. Let's go ahead and jump to that, because you mentioned your vocal coach at some point said, you know what, Lulu, you've got perseverance. And I think in your notes you said you didn't really understand what the word was at the time, but now you've kind of figured it out. So talk about perseverance.
If you look up perseverance, it means doing something despite the difficulty. And I've definitely experienced a lot of no's in my life, but it just makes it so much more special when you know that you've worked hard to get that one yes. I tried out for the One Voice Children's Choir 3 times. I was 7, 8, and 9. at the time, OVCC was smaller and there was no openings for a 10-year-old female or soprano.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept trying because I knew I wanted to be a part of it. And since I already knew what no felt like, I didn't want to give up. So I kept trying. And when I finally got the yes that I got in, it felt so much better knowing how hard that I worked. So when my vocal coach said that, it really meant a lot to me. And perseverance is such an important thing just in general in life, because it can be really hard to even just make friends and fit in where you are. And it's very important, no matter how hard it gets, you just keep going.
That is so good. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And again, you're speaking well beyond your age. You've got wisdom of just this perspective on life. And I love how you can apply that word to anything, because it's really true. If you practice at something long enough, you will get some mastery in it. And if you put your heart into something, you're gonna feel it and you're gonna contribute. And that's so amazing. So you're young and you've got friends and you've got parties and social activities. You're going through your growing years, but you also have like a serious music career in like developing and moving forward. I always like to ask, how can you kind of take both of those things and not let one overtake the other, and have a childhood?
Yeah. It can be hard to balance both, but I think that if you do make time for your mental health and school and focusing on yourself, even if it means taking breaks for a while, that will really help. But I really like to take it in small sections. Sometimes I'll just kind of take a break from everything, but I'll still continue to write music because that's what I do. It makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of an escape for me. It's a way to heal. Because I got bullied in school a lot, and that's also a big reason why I threw myself into music. It was just my way to heal, because I love to write down how I feel, and maybe it can help others who are experiencing the same thing. But yeah, I think it's very important to take breaks and focus on yourself. But once you feel like you're ready, you hop back onto it and keep going, no matter how hard it gets.
I love that. I think it's super brave. And I think all the psychology experts, it's funny, I spoke to an artist, her podcast just released, so I'd love, if you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's Olympia, and she's a doctoral student studying to be a psychologist, and she's a performing artist. And I think it's so important for you to be introspective and think about what you are and how you are, and not let that world cave in on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm curious to know, because you said you were bullied. Why do you think that there is seemingly an increase in bullying in general among like people of your age? Because I work in a school, and I know, and I see it, I hear about it. We get trained on how to help students, with that, and it's a really, really current item. Do you have any like ideas as to why that might be something that's really current right now, that's in the news and such?
Mm-hmm. I think some people do it most of the time just because they're insecure, and maybe they're going through things themselves or at home, and they just need someone to take it out on. So they'll come up to you and then start bullying you, but sometimes they don't realize that they're doing it and how bad it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing it to make themselves feel better, which is wrong in my opinion, but it's okay to feel that way. Also, some people are just different, but I think that that's a good thing, because if everyone were the same, the world would just be a pretty weird place to be in.
Right.
So it's good to have differences, and even if people are bullying you, you have to stay strong and get through it, because just know that they're probably going through something themselves, and you don't want to beat them up about it back, but just fight it yourself. But you can stand up for yourself, of course, always. That's very important, because I remember I was always too scared to do that. But when I did, it felt good because they knew that they were hurting me and they stopped. So I think it's very important to be firm about it without hurting their feelings.
That's really interesting. Yeah, to make the feelings known, because it's a situation where sometimes it's one-sided, right? The bully would be saying something, and the person who's being bullied is just absorbing it or trying to get away or whatever, instead of just putting a foot down and at least saying, well, this is how it lands on me, you should know. And I love what you said. It agrees totally with what Olympia said, in that a lot of the time it comes from their side. It comes from something that they're experiencing, and the empathy that you have in your voice. Like, it would be great to know what's going on with them so it could be, remedied. That's so amazing, because somebody, as a bully victim yourself, you could potentially have like all of this hate and all of this discomfort and like, I don't want to talk to those kinds of people anymore, but you've come around and you've seen how music can be healing. And talk about that a little bit, I think, if you want. Do you plan on releasing music, or do you have any songs out that kind of address this in a direct way, or do you want to do that so that you can reach out to the kids that are being bullied?
Yes, I do have a few songs that I've wrote. I have a few in the process as well that I'm working on, but I have released one. It is called You're Enough, and I wrote that when I was going through a rough time myself, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and people were constantly telling me that I wasn't good enough, or I had to change in order to fit a certain part, or like a certain role, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I wrote that song just kind of to remind people that no matter what people tell you to do or who they say you have to be, you don't have to be anyone who anyone else tells you to be. You just have to find out who you are and who you want to be. And that's the most important thing in life, is just knowing what you want and what kind of person you would like to be, even in the future, because we're constantly changing and growing as we get older, and we learn from things as well. So it's very important to take the experiences that you have and learn from them, even if you make mistakes. You'll constantly be building yourself up, and sometimes you might get knocked down, but it's always so important to just keep in mind that you are enough and you don't have to change for anyone as long as you love who you are.
That's so sweet. I love that. And it reminds me of some song lyrics from a band that I follow. They're in Spanish, so we won't go into them here, but in the essence is, you are a part of a relationship with everyone that you have a relationship with, or you bring certain things to the table. And if you don't have enough of you, it's going to be lopsided. And I love the self-development that you do. When you say that you kind of wrote in your journal or your diary about it, how therapeutic was that for you to kind of like just get your thoughts out when you were kind of feeling frustrated?
It was very nice to be able to just write down how I was feeling. And sometimes it's even nice to just talk to someone about it. It helps a lot. I don't think it's very good for anyone to just keep your emotions building up inside of you, because it could be like a bomb that's just waiting to explode, and you don't want that to happen. So it's very important to just like slowly let out your stress. And if you're having a hard day, just write about it, and it helps so much. And what I do is I just write things through music, and I write down how my day went or how I feel, and then I turn it into a song. I just make it rhyme, but it still has the same message that I'm trying to get across, if that makes sense. Yeah, I love writing music because it's a great way to just bring others up if they're going through the same thing as I am, because it can be very relatable. Some music is so relatable. It makes your heart feel so much better knowing that other people are going through the same as you and you're not alone. And I think it's just very important to be able to let out your emotions and not keep them building up forever.
That's really cool. And you're seemingly part of a two-way street, because I imagine that you listen to all sorts of artists and to try to get inspiration and just to feel what they're trying to portray. Speaking of, are there any artists that you'd like to name that kind of really just light your fire and get you like in the mode of doing music, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could write songs like that? There are a few artists that like you could name here that would be inspiring for you.
Yeah, there are quite a few actually. One of them, Christina Aguilera, I have always been a huge fan of hers. And her song Beautiful is such an amazing song, because the lyrics and everything about it, the melody, it's just something about it really just makes me feel better about myself. She's reminding you that you're beautiful, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And also Beyonce, she has a song called I Was Here, and it's about just making a change in the world and not letting people bring you down again.
Mm-hmm.
There are quite a few artists, actually. I have a lot that I listen to, but those are definitely my two favorites, I would say.
So if you got a phone call tomorrow from either one of those two ladies working on a project and they wanted a collab and they heard about you, would that be a firm yes?
Definitely.
That's sort of a rhetorical question because, oh my gosh, why would you say no to that? Yeah, that'd be an amazing experience. Well, cool. Let's go into your songs. I've written some titles down, and I love hearing the story of like behind the scenes of how a song came to mind and maybe how it evolved and how it was recorded and whatever you want to share about it. The first one being Distant Memories.
Yes, Distant Memories was quite a process. I usually record a demo song playing my guitar and singing, and I send it to Voxbox Productions. And before any production, I tell her what kind of vibe I want, and I send her examples of like the mood that I want. But Distant Memories was one of the first songs I recorded entirely at home, so it was a bit tricky doing it myself. But when I lived in Utah, I would do all of the final recording work at her studio. But now that I live so far away, I record vocals from here and send them to her for the final production. And we kind of just send it back and forth, and we keep improving it and finding some way to make it better. That's what we did with Distant Memories. But I love the way it turned out. It was definitely worth it for the whole process.
And for the writing of the lyrics, was there an event in your life or a series of events, or is it autobiographical? Is it just from observations that you saw of other people, or kind of walk us through the meaning of the song for you and what you're trying to portray to everyone?
Distant Memories, me and my mom actually wrote it together.
Aww.
Yeah, she helps me write a lot of my music, actually. It's very nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, since we moved here, it's been a bit hard without our family. So each line in the song is actually about a certain family member. So it kind of has a very personal meaning to us, and it reminds us of our family. Even though we're far away, we can still feel connected to them. That's why it's called Distant Memories. Even though we're distant and so far away, we still have all of these great memories together, and we can keep creating more no matter what. But that's pretty much what the song's about. Each line has a specific meaning to someone very specific in our family. It's all just a core memory for us. So this song means so much, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It turned out very nice.
Oh my goodness. That is so cool. That's a really cool concept, actually. So it's like almost like a family genealogy or a family tree, but in a narrative kind of song form. This isn't, I know the answer to this question before I ask it, I think, but were the family members informed about this project beforehand? Did they find out after it was done? Do they still not know? Where do we fall on the answer there?
I don't remember telling them while we were in the process of making the song. I think we did advertise it though, so I'm sure they've listened to it now, and they do probably know that some parts are about them because we have very distinct memories about it. Yeah, most of them probably know, and if they don't, then that's a bit sad, but that's okay.
Well, just we all get busy and had, it'd be a good treasure hunt to find. Hey, what did she sing about me? I would love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move into Mr. Snowman, which kind of gets us into. I get the feeling you are pretty much like all in for Christmas. Like Christmas is a big holiday for you. I saw a lot of posts from you on Instagram around Christmas, which we just had, and you've got some Christmas music. So talk about like what that holiday means to you, your family, and how that song came about.
Mr. Snowman was actually one that me and my mom wrote again. It took a while to get the full song, and the lyrics were kind of everywhere before we actually started working on it. So it took a while to actually organize it and make it into a real song.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love Christmas. My entire family and I love it so much. It's just the feeling that it gives you. It's just excitement and joy and the suspense as well. On Christmas Eve, just waiting for Santa to come around.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I remember in Utah, this one also has a memory with it for me. I remember in Utah, I would always go out with my brothers when it was snowing and build snowmen with them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we didn't have carrots, we'd find like sticks to put for their noses, and it was so much fun. And we would just dance with them. It's really funny. We would just start dancing and imagining the snowman were dancing with us.
Oh, wow, cool.
So it was really fun, actually. It's great to have that imagination, even when you're older. Yeah, we love Christmas so much. And I think the most important thing about it is really just spending time with people you love. And I personally love the food and the eggnog.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been an eggnog person myself, but you're right. The food is just, and it's a product of the environment, right? You get everyone together and you want to feed everyone, and so all the great recipes come out. Do you have a favorite Christmas dish or dishes or something that you like? Oh man, I have 11 months to wait until I eat that. Is there a certain food that only comes out at Christmas for your family?
I think, oh my gosh, I don't know.
We have one.
What is it?
Sausage balls.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's not a Christmas per se item that would fall on anyone's menu, but they're the most delicious. It's sausage and cheddar cheese and Bisquick basically put together.
Really
oh, we we keep them in the freezer, and that day when they're gone finally is like the saddest day.
Oh no!
But yeah, you can't think of anything maybe that is particular for your experience for Christmas?
I've never really thought about it, if I'm being honest. I'm always looking forward to eggnog. We do make caramel pretzels, like caramel chocolate pretzels. They're most of the time around Christmas, so I do look forward to those.
Yeah, you're making me hungry because I love pretzels in general, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, very neat. Okay, let's move into "Take Me There." What's going on with that song, and how did it come about? And maybe talk about the recording of it too.
Okay. Take Me There was actually written based off of a book that I read in 7th grade. The book was called Take Me There by Susan Colasanti. It was a very good book and very inspiring as well. I decided to write that song because I love the title of the book and the message along with it. It's about high schoolers who are just trying to get better, and their mental health is kind of declining, and it's been rough for them, but in the end they all come together. They're all besties again, and it's just amazing how it ends it up. And there's also so many plot twists. But I love that about it.
Yeah.
So the song, I originally wrote it on guitar. I played it on guitar the first time, and I did write it in 7th grade, but I can't believe I just barely released it in 9th. Wow. It was also quite a process. We had to send it to Vox Productions, and again, it was one of those back and forth things where we had to keep improving on it. And it's crazy how it started as an acoustic song and then improved to become like techno, like spacey. It's so cool. But I do love how it turned out. It's such a vibe, honestly.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to Sasha Hurtado the other day about her experience on The Voice, and she had that same thing happen with one of her songs recently, where it just was a 180 twist from what it started as. And I love that about art in general, that there's no preconceived ending. It's gonna take the twists and turns where it goes, and I love that you are open to that, and you actually love the final product, even though it started with a simple acoustic guitar, and it's like, whoa, we have this. So that's really cool. I have an out of the box idea for you if you haven't done it already.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
What about sharing the song with the author of the book? Have you tried to track her down? Is she still alive?
Yeah.
And have you looked into that?
I have not, actually.
Oh my gosh, I think that would be an amazing experience because, she
would be.
she put her art out there for people to consume and enjoy, and it's great to see. Tell me if this is true. I've never been up in front of an audience singing, but it's great to see the audience singing back to you, right, with your music. That's an awesome feeling.
Definitely.
So imagine this author who's written a book, and you've got a song based off of it. I think she would be over the moon, kind of happy about it. So if you don't explore that avenue, I might explore it for you. If you get a phone call one day from that author, answer it.
That would be so cool. Okay.
So cool. Okay, and speaking of cool, let's move overseas to Japan. And can you frame for us? I don't know. Come to think of it, I don't think I know. On one hand, I can't count how many people I've talked to in my life that have been to Japan, and you have. Tell me a little bit about that experience, what you're able to do there, what happened. I'm sure now you have a connection. Do you feel culturally connected to Japan? And kind of a shout out to that whole experience, because what I know about travel, I've traveled quite a bit, is it changes you. I lived in Spain for almost 4 months, and I was a totally different person afterwards, and it altered my life completely. And I would love to hear how Japan has kind of shaped you into a more aware person, a different person. Just talk about Japan as much as you want.
Okay. Japan was life-changing for me. When I got the call back saying that I was able to go, I was so excited. It was kind of crazy. I was freaking out, and there were even dolls that had like sushi purses that I wanted to bring with me because I always love sushi.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited to just be around a new culture and try all this new food because I love food.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting that.
Yeah. Masa from One Voice, he took us to Japan for a special project he was working on, and he showed us where he's from and taught us about the culture. And we also got to meet his very kind parents. And I really loved everything about Japan. We got to sing at so many cool places.
Mm-hmm.
One was on the water at Canal Cafe. There was a stage like on the water. It was
cool.
So cool. It was really scary because it kept rocking back and forth, but it was very pretty as well with the lights. And the lights of the city behind us too were amazing. The view was so beautiful. I also did love the food, and there were so many cool things there, and everyone was also so different. And the shops were amazing too. And even at the hotel we were at, there was a 7-Eleven right next to it where we would go and just grab our food because it was so fancy. It was really nice. And I think the most important part for me was the connection with the other kids that we sang at the school for.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't speak the same language as they did, but when we sang to them, we could see it in their faces and their eyes that they knew what the message we were trying to get across with the music we were singing. And that really just proved that music does have a way of connecting people, even if you don't speak the same language. They still understand the point you're trying to get across. And it's really amazing how it can just inspire you and still connect people without even knowing. It's crazy. But that was a life-changing experience for me, just knowing how much music can change people and bring people together. I think that it can change the world. Japan was just amazing. I went with my mom, and it was great to go with my friends as well. There were so many cool experiences. I would love to go again someday, really.
I'm sure I'd love to go too. And the Japanese people, it sounds like you were treated really, really well on a cultural perspective. Just in very general terms, can you think of like some really neat things that you observed about Japanese culture and the way maybe families integrated with each other, and just things like, I know you walked away. I'm sure you walked away as a more inspired musician because you just very eloquently said how music can transcend boundaries and connect cultures, and that's such an astute observation for a person your age. But when you were there watching like the people besides just the music, did you go, oh, that is so sweet the way this is happening, or certain takeaways from Japan that you admire and maybe even would adopt into your own like behaviors and such? Because I have, I've studied Japan a little bit in my life, but I've always heard people hold the Japanese people in really high regard in terms of just the way they treat each other and whatnot. But what did you see when you were there?
All of the people there were so sweet, and they kept the city of Tokyo as like clean as they possibly could. There was no trash anywhere because they cared about the environment. And if you even just bumped into someone, they would always apologize. And everyone was just so kind and so sweet to each other and welcoming. It was very different from where I'm from. So it was very cool to experience that, because sometimes you can feel like humanity is just failing. But Japan definitely gave me that hope that we're still doing good, and there is definitely hope out there. Because everyone just cared about each other. Even if you didn't know who this person was, you would still care and be there for them. It was a very beautiful thing. And everything about that place was just different, but in a very good way.
Yeah, that's very well put. That corresponds to exactly what I would have thought. And I know that China and Japan are very different cultures in the way they are, but I can tell you my wife studied in Japan, and I remember this story is exactly as it happened. She had one of those like bulky cameras with the long lenses, right? She loves photography. And she was going downstairs or something, and she was a little bit older than you. It was college age, and dropped her camera, fell on the ground, and broke into a few pieces or whatever. I don't know. And one of the students that she was with, the kid was like, "Oh, I can get that fixed for you. Don't worry." And her camera was gone for like a day or two and came back, and it was in perfect condition, polished up.
Oh my gosh,
for no charge.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was a very similar experience dealing with families and whatnot. It's so respectful and just nice and appreciative, and would love to listen to her speak English, because that was like, entrancing for them to listen to English. And so I do think that we have a lot to learn from these older cultures and these places that have some really good things going on. So I'm glad you got to see that and can kind of spread that message. That's totally cool. All right. Glotivation. You're going to have to educate me a little bit on this, because I don't know what it is, but I have March 2022 as a date with it from Far Out Records. What's all that about?
Glotivation is really amazing, and every time we get together, it ends up being so much fun. I was invited to audition for Glotivation, and at first I was a bit scared because I was meeting new people, and I am a bit awkward at first. But it was amazing because when I met the other girls, I felt like I fit right in, and I felt at home with them. I could just be myself, and they wouldn't judge me. They were all so nice, all the people there who helped us as well. And I also love the glow-up dolls who Glotivation is representing. Their doll line inspires people to be authentic and unique and just true to who they are, even though they're different. And that's a very important message that they have. And I love that these dolls aren't just any dolls. They have a point to them. That's very, very cool, in my opinion. And I love that I can be a part of this because it's such an amazing meaning behind them.
That is so neat. And is that something that could continue on in the future, or was it like a limited time for, and then now it's done for you? Or do you look forward to seeing those girls again?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we will do a lot more in the future. I really hope so, because every time we've come together, it's been so much fun and so different every time. But I feel like we get closer with everyone there, like even the videographers. It's always so much fun. And I really hope to work with them again. Hopefully it's a continuous thing, because it's been truly amazing to work with everyone.
And that's a similar story. Again, I'll bring up Sasha. It's funny because of the parallel between you and her. But like on The Voice, my thought about those high tense, like high pressure shows. When I approached her with this question, was like, oh, well, it's like going to be a cutthroat situation. You got everyone competing against each other, right? Everyone wants to win. And she's like, no. It's a family. We love each other. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Really? And I think your point about music is what does that. Like, music is the common denominator. Singing and expressing is the thread, right, that everyone is connected by. And you all have different perspectives. You all look different, and you all come in with different experiences. But that commonality of making music together is like the bond, and it helps a lot. So music is underrated as a connecting thing. But you have proven just in your few years on this earth that it's it needs to be appreciated more as bringing people together. So cool. I also wrote down here the MGM Grande in Las Vegas. That's a big stage for a young person. What was that about?
The MGM Grande in Las Vegas was a very neat experience. I went with the One Voice Children's Choir, and we went to sing for the Lions Club, and representatives from every nation were there. And the stage was so beautiful. There were huge flags lining the stage. It was so beautiful. And my friend Eva and I sang a reprise of A Million Dreams leading into their program. It felt so magical getting dressed up and singing to represent my choir family, and seeing the look on people's faces when we started singing. It was such a beautiful moment for both of us and the entire choir. And if you didn't know, the Lions Club is a global network of volunteers that work together to take action and serve others. And their goal is to build a community that wants to make a difference in the world, and anything from the environment to health or hunger. They do a lot of good in the world. So I think that the Lions Club is very, very cool, and I love the meaning they have behind what they do.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind you on that. The Lions Club in my area in Cherokee County is super active, and they work with the schools, and they sponsor various events and do collections for various causes. And I think it's great. It's the essence of volunteerism, where people get together and try to help humanity. And for you to be connected to that, that's super awesome. Tell me a little bit about One Voice. I've seen references to it. I heard you talk about it. What's the overarching goal, and how is that all structured?
I first figured out OVCC existed because I came across one of their YouTube videos. It was a cover of Let It Go from Frozen, and Lexi Walker was in it too. It was a very, very cool video, and everyone just looked like they were such good friends. They were jamming together, and it looked like a blast to just have friends that did the same thing that you did and loved doing it. So I auditioned for it a few times, and when I finally got in, it felt amazing. And right as I got there, I made friends right away, and it was amazing to be able to just sing with people who I love and do what I love with them. I think that was very, very cool for me to be able to experience that. And OVCC has given me so many cool opportunities. We got to sing for Jackie Chan, and we always went to the recording studio to record for music videos. And the music videos were always a blast too. Sometimes it was really hard work, and sometimes it was just fun, and we got to film it. It was all very different, but it was so neat to experience all of those things. And being able to know how different things are now, it gave me a boost in the music industry, and I'm so glad that OVCC was a part of my life. It was a huge part of it, and I really love everything about it.
Is it a program that still exists, or was it only active while you were a part of it? Is it still going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have any vocabulary on it. I was like, so is the goal to bring performers together from all sorts of experiences and create a voice, a choir, and that choir goes to different places to perform?
Yes, the choir does travel a lot. I had to leave in 2021, and it was hard because I had to leave and we were moving, so it would have been very hard to stay in it. But they do travel a lot, and they're constantly posting content, and the message behind their performing and their music is really beautiful. They cover songs that mean something to people, and the Masa who arranges the music for it and the different parts, he puts so much time and effort into it. It always turns out so amazing and different than what you would expect. It's just mind-blowing what he does and how the beautiful voices of children come together and sing it. It's such a cool experience.
And there's really nothing more pure than the voice of a child. And we see it time and time again. I'm a little bit older than you, and to have either in singing form like you're describing, or just speaking, like when kids speak what they really see and feel, it's sometimes we as adults go, yeah, you're right. Well, I shouldn't do that, or whatever. And it's usually very pure and innocent and purposeful and positive and all of that. And I love that you were connected with that organization, and how it's kind of, like you said, helped shape your music career and help you affirm that music is so powerful. Very cool. I saw recently a music video called My Home, and I was hoping you might that video looked like it was more one that you wanted to put together for your own song versus like going with one voice and having someone manage you and tell you what to do. This was like the personal project. How'd you feel about that? And when you watch your own music videos, or do you constantly like, oh, I think I wanted to change that, or are you super happy with the way it came out? And where were you? And tell me a little bit about that video.
It really depends on every video I make. Sometimes there's always something I want to go back and change, but then in other ones, it's perfect and magical. And that's how My Home was. We actually filmed 2 videos that day, back to back, because we were getting ready to move. We had to kind of speed things up.
Oh.
I had to borrow things from neighbors to help make the set look whimsical, because I wanted to be kind of a magical video, like Fairyland.
Hence the dress. I get it.
Yeah. That dress is really pretty. Very heavy though.
I can understand.
Yeah. We filmed it at Gardner Village because it used to be my favorite place to go with my grandma. We would go there all the time and get treats. It was so much fun. They're beautiful lakes and bridges, and it's just a really cool place. If you live in Utah, I would definitely recommend going. And Jake's Warrior Media was actually the videographer from Kids America, and he agreed to film both videos for me back to back, which was so sweet of him. And Jake is really an amazing person to work with because he makes it comfortable. He's a very nice person to be around, and it just feels like I'm working with a friend. I feel very comfortable around him, yeah. And sometimes it can be awkward when you're filming with people, because they're just recording you. But with Jake, it feels different because he just makes it fun, and he makes it seem like he's your friend because he is, and he cares about how the video will turn out, and he wants to make it perfect just for you. I love Jake so much. He's very sweet.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd love to put his information. I don't know how it works, but on your page on Living in the Limelight, we'll of course feature all of your socials and whatnot. But anything else, I'd love to put links to One Voice and links to Jake and his production stuff, so that maybe someone who watches your video, they could go, you know what, I really love the way that's done, and it sounds like he's a super nice person to work with. So maybe they could reach out. Do you think that? Okay, perfect. Well, I'll get that from you later. That sounds great. And you're right. That's something really kind of unknown in your world, and is that you're put in front of many different kinds of people, and just like with being in the world in general, there are all kinds of personalities, right? And you have to kind of size someone up and learn how they're going to be with you, and try the best you can to surround yourself with people who are going to be supportive and whatnot. So I understand that sometimes it's difficult. I'm glad you found someone in your corner for that. Okay, I want to give
Yeah.
you a crystal ball right now. I'm going to give you like the power to envision your perfect day. And this isn't like, I want to be 21 and doing this and this. I'm talking like tomorrow. If something would happen tomorrow, you could wake up and do everything in that day that you wanted to do. What would you do?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I would definitely sleep in, maybe till like around 12. I love sleeping.
Well, you're young and kids need their sleep.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely grab a cup of coffee, whether it's at home or at Starbucks or something. That's a great way to start off the day, actually.
Are you a hot coffee drinker or cold?
Both.
Both.
I just love coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Die hard.
I like to try all different kinds. It's really fun, actually. I think.
So you got
I
your
do
sleep
love
in.
to.
Sorry, you got your sleep in. You got your coffee. I'm just gonna catch myself up.
Yeah, I got my sleep. I got my coffee. I would probably want to go shopping or to a movie or something like that. I would just want to go out and have a fun day. Maybe with a few friends or just with my mom, because my mom is pretty much my best friend. She's very, very fun, and I feel like she's more than a mom to me. So it'd be fun to go with her, and maybe after that, I would invite a few friends to go stargazing in a big field with maybe just a ton of blankets, because I've always wanted to do that. I would love to just go in a big open field and look at the sky, because I think stars can make such cool shapes if you really look at it. It'd be really fun to just imagine what stars could be like putting together for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you can paint your own pictures. You can imagine, even if you don't know the constellations, you don't know where everything is oriented. It's an open canvas, right? Very cool. Okay, so that takes us actually all the way to the nighttime. Would there be, dinner? We talked food before, so you might need to mention some really cool food that you would, sushi probably, but somewhere where you'd love to go eat. Would you throw in a concert in there?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love concerts so much. Whether it's me performing or one of my favorite artists, I just think it's so much fun. And I also love going to concerts that, even with people that I've never heard of before, I love hearing different sounds and different music and their own style. So definitely, I would love to go to a concert, whether it was my own or someone else's. And for dinner, I would definitely have sushi. I love sushi.
Could you have an entire meal of just sushi, or would you have to complement it with something else?
I think I could do just sushi, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. In my mind, it's a side item, but I know some people are gung ho like you and go all in and get all the different varieties. Do you have a go-to sushi place near where you are that you could recommend for people? Because I know that sushi is becoming really popular around here.
I can't remember where we got it from the last time. It was so good. Oh my gosh, I have to think about it. I can't remember what it's called.
But you found one that you're happy with, because I know since you've moved it, you're kind of relearning different places. Well, that's good, because you got to have your sushi. Very cool. All right, so you've touched on this already, but you've done some things really well, and you've maybe stumbled in certain areas. If you could talk to your younger self, pretend that you're that. I don't know if I want to take you all the way back to 3, because 3-year-olds aren't that, they can't reason too much. But whenever you were 5 or 6 and you could listen to yourself as an older person, what would you say to help you go through? Because we're going to assume you were going to do music, right? You knew it when you were 3. So would you talk back to your younger self and say, what would be your I don't know, the recommendations to do things a little bit better, a little bit different, or just like it was?
I I would have a lot to say, actually.
Good, bring it.
Yeah. I would tell myself that it is going to get hard, but it's going to be important to never give up because your dreams could come true, but don't just dream about it. You have to actually go for it and work for it if you want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell myself to wait to be sure about it, but also slowly get involved in the music community. And sometimes the people you think will be there for you won't be. So you have to learn to be there for yourself and to rely on the people who do love you the most when things get hard. And they will continue to love you no matter what. And I would tell myself that it's very important to do nice things for other people because you never know who could be having a really bad day. Even if you just smile at them, it could be giving them some hope. Maybe they're having a terrible day and just complimenting them will brighten it even just a little bit. I think it's very powerful to be able to just smile at someone. It can totally change their view of things. Knowing that I was in Utah, I was not a part of the main culture and I felt excluded a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell myself that it is important to be aware of others and how they feel and to look out for each other, even if they're being hard on you. I would tell myself to just stay strong no matter how hard things get because it will get hard in the future and you're going to make it through. You'll be okay. Just keep trying and be nice to other people, including yourself. But yeah, that's probably what I tell myself. Yeah.
Lulu, tell me if I'm off on this, but I hear, especially right at the end there, just the raw emotion and gut-wrenching feeling you have towards, it's empathy, feeling that you have towards people that suffer. Do you feel really drawn and like you need to help when you see people and they fall down or they're not doing well? Does that call out to you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I can tell you that is fundamentally probably the number one thing to have, is because that's a form of love, right? It's a way of knowing someone else and trying to connect with them in a raw way and get to them and help them. And I just can't tell you how overwhelmed I am to hear that kind of thought come out of a young person. It's super, super inspiring. And if you can kind of bottle that and keep it, it's gonna serve you well, and it's gonna serve others even more. And I applaud you for that. I love that about you. I'm going to do a little bit of a left turn here for us because I always like to ask about gear. I talked to Ken Auberly just the other day. I mean, he's a drummer and he has stuff like he's got this kind of drums and he plays with these kinds of pedals and cymbals, and so he's a gear person. Singers I've found aren't really that particular about it, but do you have a go-to microphone? Do you have a mic at your house that you like to use, or one in the studio if you ever go in there? And just certain things that you found that complement your style that you like to kind of use, and you're super, like you're happy that those products exist.
Yes. I do play quite a few instruments. Oh. I've been learning piano for quite a while. I play ukulele, guitar, and cello. I really enjoy all of them. They all sound very different, which is really cool to just be able to play all of them, even if it's a bit difficult. Mm-hmm. I am very fortunate to have some great mentors who have believed in me and really helped me along the way. So my guitar was actually a gift from the producer of Kids America.
Oh, wow.
A few years ago, he took us shopping and personally helped us choose a guitar he thought we would like. And the one we chose is beautiful, and the color just pops, and I feel like it represents my personality, which is really cool to have, actually, that it has a memory behind it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I still play that guitar, and I'm very thankful for it. And my recording equipment, it was also a gift. I had saved up for a nice microphone when I moved to Georgia, but it got damaged in the move.
Oh.
It's okay. The most the most amazing person who would like to remain anonymous sent it to me as a Christmas gift, and
Really?
it's been helping me so much. It's so nice and beautiful, and the sound is just crystal clear. It's so nice.
And it's from Shure?
Yes, it's a Shure SM70,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
It would have taken me a whole another year to save up for a new one. So I'm very thankful that this person was able to give it to me. It means so much to me. I almost started crying when it came in the mail. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's part of
so
the
thoughtful.
whole thing that I was talking about. It's not a guarantee ever, but it's just kind of like it's a thing that seems to happen. And some people call it karma. Some people call it, just a reciprocation. But you put so much good out into the world. I hear it in your voice. I see it in your actions that you're going to stumble across things like that in your life. And I like that you're so humble about it, because it was a true gift of love and expense from someone. And you appreciate it so much. I can hear that in your voice too. So cool. Any other gear that you want to talk about? I had in my notes Focusrite. Maybe I wrote that down wrong.
Oh, right. Oh my gosh, sorry, it took me a second. Oh gosh, hang on. It's like, I'm not really sure how to explain it. It's what I use to like plug in my computer to, and it also connects to the mic and the headphones.
Okay, so it's kind of like a bridge board to connect, to interface those different components. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. Oh,
it's an audio interface. Yeah.
Audio interface. Yeah. That's super, super helpful, because, a lot of those technologies that you mentioned were developed independently, and to marry them. I love things like that. I'm a nerd about electronics and gears and gear connections. So you're speaking my language. I got you. Very cool. Is there something surprising about you? I mean, you've talked a lot about, how you are as a person. Is there something like, if someone were to look you up on social media and read about you and listen to your music and whatever, just something like totally off the wall? Like, I'll give you an example. I don't know. You've got like, you love jelly beans, and the jelly beans are like the thing for you. And is there something that would, be really interesting for people to know about you, that is sort of a cool little, I don't know, just a thing that is about you that maybe you haven't told anyone publicly?
There's quite a few actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Share as much as you want, or as little.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I do impressions, and not a lot of people know that, actually.
Oh. Can I put you on the spot for that?
Sure. I can do Ariana Grande, or what's her name, Jennifer Coolidge. If you know who that is.
I know Ariana Grande, of course. Jennifer Coolidge is a name that is familiar to me, but come on. I just called up Ariana Grande for Living in the Limelight, and Ariana, how are you doing today? Do you need a second to get into the character? I can give you a second.
Yeah, sorry. I need to think of what to do. Hang on.
Find anything written that's around you, a book or something, and maybe try to read it in her voice. I don't know, or however you like to do it. Or we can come back to it. Maybe you can tell me the other names that you get impressions for, and you can think about it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Because this was not in our notes to talk about, I know.
Yeah. I've never been on the spot with this before, because nobody knows about it, but I'll come up with something. Another thing a lot of people don't know about me is I have been skydiving.
Ooh, cool.
And I would love to go again, or go bungee jumping. I just think that stuff is so much fun and adventurous. And people would not expect that from me, because I'm 14.
Yeah. So do you like the roller coasters and the go upside down and loops and all that stuff too? Like anything just totally adventurous. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I would not have known that. That's a total surprise. And I'm going to give you a little out on the Ariana Grande thing. If you can't quite gather it, which is totally fine before we finish, we can do it off the recording, and I can splice it in for people. So
Okay.
keep thinking, because I got a few more questions and we can maybe put it towards the end. I want to talk about Bono. And I want to kind of leave that and let that hang and see if you know where I'm going with it.
Bono. The quote, music can change the world because it can change people.
Yes.
I love that quote because I do believe that music connects people, and science has proven that music causes a physical reaction in the brain, and it affects our mood and can give us energy or motivation. Like listening to sad or happy music can change what we notice and how we feel, and it can kind of mold you as a person. So that quote means a lot because I believe that music can change the world and it can change people. It can change who you are. And oh my goodness, again, Japan, I saw it connect people. Even if we didn't speak the same language and didn't know each other, it still connected us somehow. And it's a feeling that I've never experienced before. But in that moment, it was so magical and powerful. And we all knew what was going on. It felt amazing.
Yeah, I think that's it. Everyone knows you too. Even down to your generation. They're of course solid in my generation. I grew up on their music, and he's just well recognized as a philosopher, as a lyricist and as a singer. And I wouldn't have doubted for a second that quote came from him. And I think it does really capture the way that you have maneuvered through the music industry and the things that you've done, because you are on purposely meeting new people and singing to new people and bringing cultures together. So, I sometimes see people throw quotes up in different areas and I'm like, I wonder if they really believe it. But that seems to be like a mantra for you, and you really do feel it. And I was like a little test. All I had to do was say Bono, and it was like, yep, that's what that is. That's me. I think that's really, really, really neat. So you have been accepted as a competitor on Georgia Has Talent, and I noticed in the notes, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed in the notes that you've mentioned, if I mispronounce it, let me know, but Corinne Cook. Can you tell me a little bit about your performance that is coming up in March, and maybe your motivation for doing that show?
I'm very close to my Aunt Rochelle, who I call Rara. She's actually been my hairdresser and makeup artist on a lot of sets, and she's very talented and one of the most kind people I know. But in August, her mom, Corinne, passed away from leukemia. It was a very long battle for her, and she stayed strong for a very long time. And even though she's at peace now, I know my aunt still misses her so much and is hurting. And I know she's sad that her kids won't have their grandma around. And I wanted to do this for her because she's done so much for me, and she's such an amazing person. I think she's a lot like her mom. She's always looking at the positive and trying to help others using her talent.
Yeah.
So when I saw that this talent show had a real purpose behind it, I wanted to participate as a way to give back and say, I love you.
That is so sweet and genuine and straightforward, and I love that. And again, it just speaks to the kind of person you are at your tender age. I love that. So to finish up, I'm going to circle back just to one thing before we have maybe two things happen. I'll have you kind of tell everyone how to reach you and some of your socials and all that. But and then we'll maybe do the Ariana Grande thing or not. We'll see. But it should be in here because we'll make it happen. You and I have sort of made a promise to do it, right? Not necessarily right now, but we're going to get it done. Can we commit together to have it done? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So what I wanted to circle back to was Mom, as being a best friend, as being a good friend. How does that happen? Because if you could impart advice onto kids your age and to moms of your mom's age, just to because clearly something's working. What do both of you bring to the table to kind of make that relationship so special?
Yes, my mom is my best friend. We're very close, and she's been helping me with music for my whole life, and she's believed in me, and that's meant so much to me. Um, and I think what's made our relationship so strong is honesty and loving each other no matter what we've done wrong and the mistakes we've made. Um, I am a teenager. I've kind of broken the rules a few times, but we always forgive, and that's very important in relationships, no matter what kind it is. And honesty is very important with that as well.
Yep.
And just we're there for each other all the time, no matter what. If one of us is hurting, the other person is there. Or if we're both hurting, we're both trying to cheer each other up. It's our relationship is a bond that I've never had with anyone else. She does not just feel like a mom to me. She feels like such an amazing friend, like my closest friend in the world. I can tell her everything, and she'll still support me in the decisions I make. And she's been there for me my whole life, no matter what. And with music, she's always been there, driving me around or helping me with my makeup and getting me ready. So that also kind of helped our relationship grow. Just being together that much and spending that much time together, that played a big part in it. So I think spending time with each other and someone you want to get close with, that's very important.
So, Lulu, I'm going to tell you a story that is going to collide exactly, and actually is going to connect you and me to a degree that you didn't realize. But my mom was very similar. So I was a drummer as a kid, and
oh wow!
As you might be aware, it's a loud instrument. And
yeah,
when I told her that that's what I wanted to do, she's like, "Oh, interesting, cool, okay." And so I started, and I collected one drum. And then for the next Christmas, I got a few more drums, and then I had a full set at some point with the cymbals and everything. And this was in my bedroom, so like took up almost the whole room. Her attitude around that was exactly the same. She said, "Hey, if you want to be in a band, let's go let's get you in a band. If your band needs like help getting the stuff to the gig, we had like a Suburban. It was a big vehicle, and I'll take them. Oh, you want the guys to come over to play at the house? Let's do that. I'll make snacks." She was totally in my corner for all of it. Okay. And so fast forwarding to 2011, this was the birth of Georgia Has Talent, which at that time the concert was called Beat Out Cancer, and it's sponsored by a club called Beat Out Cancer. I lost her to ovarian cancer, and so my cheerleader was gone, and so like your motivation to sing, my motivation was to start that show and do something, to take care of cancer in a real way. So you and I are a little bit twinning in this respect. So continue loving your mom and appreciate her, because they are in many respects. And I love your advice. So anyone listening to this, whether you're the child or you're a mom, what you painted was a really good framework. Just like with your mom and you, I had honesty. I did some things too as a teenager. Surprise! Teenagers do that. And we had we'd talk about it, and I'd own up to it, and we'd work through it. And that's huge, is communicating and like making that line of parent-child just sort of blur a little bit. Now there are times when mom needs to step in and make the adult decision on certain things, and you know that. But just to be able to communicate is insane. It's so good. So I wanted you to hear that. A lot of people who know me personally know that story, but we're paralleled in that kind of way. So Who can find you? How can they find you? What's your preferred method? Are you like an Instagram? Is that your go-to platform? Are you more Twitter? Do you have Facebook? Your website? I know you've got a website, which is really cool for someone your age. How would you like people to reach out and be like and follow you and kind of keep tabs on your journey?
You can find me on all streaming platforms. Just search for Liliana Tani. I'm on Instagram at Lovely Lululana and TikTok at Authentically Lulu. And my website is lilianatani.com. So it's pretty easy.
It is. And when did you get the nickname Lulu? When did that come out? Were you young?
Yeah, my parents have really been calling me that for almost my whole life. Especially my mom. And it kind of just stuck with me. Lulu is who I am now. That's who I've become as a person. And I don't know, I really love that name and that my mom chose that for me.
Yeah, I love it. It's become your stage personality. It's become your the name that people who know you well can refer to you as. It's really cool. Well, awesome. Yeah. Well, we've gotten to the end here. It's been such a great time talking with you, and I was going to throw out the option of the Ariana Grande now, or we can have it like in a separate recording. Are you feeling it?
I could try.
We can always, what we can do is we can splice it out and get your best one after that. So there's no stress attached to this. There's no pressure at all. I'm going to sit, I'll be quiet, and I'm thanking you in advance. So this is where we could cut it off. It's been, I don't know if you realized we talked for way over an hour because you're just such an incredible person and there's so much to say about you. So I'm in your corner. I respect everything that you've been doing, and I love the fact that you're giving back to the world. And just thank you so much for spending the time with us and telling us all these things. So I'm going to be quiet now and let you compose yourself. And if it happens, great. If not, we can redo another time. Sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So at the speed of sound, fighting against the lots of stone, against ourselves. You haunted every memory. There's no goodbyes of me. Your pride put out the fire in my blood. Then just one look into her face, I feel your eyes so lost on every part of me, and then mountain hot fire.
Take me there, far away, where our memories will be erased. Take me there, to the place where our heartache will wash away. It's a journey, this life we're in, it's rough. Every day is a race to live, it's tough. Van Gogh, Starry Night, you're the light. I want you by my side. You're a beautiful work of art, my heart. Take my hand, take me there, or I'll fall apart. Getting lost in the canvas of your eyes. All I want is you by my side. All I want is you by my side, by my side. All I want is you by my side, by my side. Take me there, far away, where our memories will be erased. Take me there, to the place where our heartache will wash away. There's a piece of my heart you hold, it's true. I was lost before, but I'm better with you. You brighten my life on the darkest night, like a city full of stars and lights. You're a beautiful work of art, my heart. Take my hand, take me there, or I'll fall apart. Getting lost in the canvas of your eyes. All I want is you by my side. Take be erased. Take me there.